Welcome back to the deep dive. You know the drill. We take a stack of info, dig in, and pull out the key stuff so you don't have to.
Yep. We've been looking at how our bodies sense the world, and today it's all about the eye, an incredibly complex piece of kit.
It really is. We're diving into the anatomy, how it's built, and how it actually works, how it turns light into, well, vision.
Absolutely. And we're using some great source material today. It's Mr. Hostler's lecture notes for nursing students, anatomy, and physiology.
Right, based on Chapter 13 of Herlihy's The Human Body in Health and Illness, these notes are really designed to guide you through it clearly.
Exactly. So our mission, using Mr. Hostler's structure, is to understand the parts, sure, but really focus on how they work together, how this biological machine turns light into sight.
And the big idea that Mr. Hostler really hammers home, sight is all about light.
Fundamentally, yes. Every single part of the eye is designed to handle that light. Let it in, bend it, focus it, or, convert it into a signal the brain gets.
So we'll follow his plan, start outside, work our way in, check out the anatomy.
And then we'll trace that amazing journey light takes from out there right into your brain as a decoded image.
Okay, let's get started. Time to see vision in a new way. Where do we begin on the outside?
All right. So, Mr. Hostler starts with the fibrous layer. Think of it as the eye's tough outer armor.
Outer armor, okay. Protecting everything inside.
Exactly. It's got two main parts. First, the sclera. That's the white part you see.
The tough white bit.
Super tough, fibrous connective tissue. It gives the eye its shape and protects the delicate stuff inside. Pretty robust.
And then at the very front, the clear part.
That's the cornea, a transparent dome over the iris and pupil. It's clear, obviously, but it's also tough. But its main job isn't just being a window.
Ah, right. It does something with the light itself.
Yeah, this is where the focusing really kicks off. Light rays coming in are usually scattered, right? The cornea's smooth curve bends those rays, refracts them significantly inward. It's the eye's primary lens, really. Does
Right.
the initial heavy lifting.
So it's not just see-through. It's actively bending light right away. And if that curve isn't perfect, that causes problems.
Exactly. If the cornea's curve is uneven, like more like a football than a sphere,
Uh-huh.
it bends light unevenly. Different parts focus at different spots. That's astigmatism. Things look blurry or distorted because the image isn't sharp.
Makes sense. Uneven
Yeah.
curve, uneven focus. Okay, so that's the outer shell. What's the next layer in, according to Mr. Hostler?
We peel that back and find the vascular layer. And like the name suggests, it's loaded with blood vessels, super important for nutrients.
But it does more than just supply blood, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a control center, too. It includes the choroid, the ciliary body, and the iris.
Okay, the choroid, that's kind of behind the scenes.
Totally. It's right behind the retina, packed with blood vessels feeding the retina. And interestingly, it's dark. It absorbs stray light.
Like the black paint inside a camera.
Exactly like that. Stops light bouncing around, keeps the image sharp.
Clever. Okay, then the ciliary body. Mr. Hostler says it's complex. What does it do?
It's got two main gigs. First, there's the ciliary muscle. It's a ring of muscle around the lens.
And that's for focusing.
Yep, critical for focusing, especially close up. When you look at something near, that muscle contracts. And when it contracts, it sort of moves inward, relaxing the tension on these little ligaments holding the lens.
Ah, so less pulling on the lens.
Right. And the lens is naturally elastic, so with less tension, it bulges, gets rounder. More curve means more bending power for near objects.
It's like a little internal zoom function.
Pretty much.
Right.
Then, when you look far away, the muscle relaxes, the ligaments tighten, pull the lens flatter, less bending power for distant stuff. That whole process is called accommodation.
Got it. Contract, rounder, near. Relax, flatter, far. What's the other part of the ciliary body?
That's the ciliary processes. These are little folds of tissue that stick inward. Their big job, making aqueous humor.
Ah, the eye fluid. We hear about that a lot.
Yeah, it's crucial. These processes filter fluid from the blood to make this clear, watery stuff. It fills the front part of the eye.
The space between the cornea and the iris.
And also the small space between the iris and the lens, so the anterior and posterior chambers.
And why is that fluid so important? What's it doing?
Well, two main things. One, the cornea and lens don't have their own blood supply, so this fluid brings them nutrients and oxygen.
Okay, nourishment.
And two, really critical, it maintains the eye's internal pressure, intraocular pressure.
Which brings us to glaucoma. Mr. Hostler highlights this, right?
Absolutely. Glaucoma is usually about a problem with this aqueous humor system. Either too much is made, or more commonly, it doesn't drain out properly.
So it builds up.
Right. The fluid builds up, pressure inside the eye goes up, and that high pressure over time damages the optic nerve at the back of the eye.
Wow. So a drainage problem up front affects the nerve sending signals to the brain.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And it's often gradual. Peripheral vision goes first, which is why regular eye checks are so important. It can sneak up on you.
Okay, that makes sense. And the third part of this vascular layer, the iris.
The iris, that's the colored part of your eye. Think of it like the aperture on a camera. It's a muscular diaphragm controlling the pupil size.
The pupil is just the hole in the middle.
Yep, just the opening. The iris has two muscles. One is circular. When it contracts, the pupil gets smaller. Constricts.
For bright light.
Right, cuts down the amount of light coming in. Then there's a radial muscle, like spokes on a wheel. When it contracts, it pulls outward, making the pupil wider. Dilation.
For dim light to let more in.
Exactly. So the iris is constantly adjusting pupil size, fine-tuning the light that gets to the back of the eye.
Amazing automatic adjustments. Okay, let's go deeper now. Past the iris and pupil, what structures are next?
Now we hit the lens, sits right behind the pupil. We mentioned it with accommodation. It works with the cornea to fine-tune the focus.
And its shape changes thanks to that ciliary muscle and the ligaments.
Correct. That's
Ah.
accommodation. But the lens, it changes with age, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Hmm.
Like needing reading glasses?
That's presbyopia. Usually kicks in around your 40s. The lens just gets stiffer, less elastic. It can't round up as easily for close-up focus anymore, so reading glasses help do the job the lens struggles with.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And the other common age thing? Cataracts.
Yes. A cataract is when the proteins in the lens start to clump up, making it cloudy or opaque.
So light can't get through properly?
It gets blocked or scattered, leads to blurry, hazy vision, like looking through a foggy window.
Okay, so cornea starts the bend, lens fine-tunes it. Where are they aiming the light?
They're focusing it onto the retina, the innermost layer at the very back of the eye. This is the sensory part. This is where light detection happens.
The photoreceptor cells live here.
Exactly. The famous rods and cones, as Mr. Hostler lays out.
Rods and cones, what's the difference again?
Rods are way more numerous, especially out in the peripheral parts of the retina. They're super sensitive to light levels, great for dim light, night vision.
Yeah.
But they don't do color or sharp detail, just black and white, kind of grainy.
Okay, so rods for low light, cones are for...
Cones are for color and detail. Sharp vision. They need brighter light to work properly, and they're packed into one specific area.
the high-definition spot.
You could call it that. It's the fovea centralis, a tiny little pit right in the middle of a spot called the macula lutea. The fovea is jam-packed with cones, hardly any rods.
So that's what you use when you're really focusing. Reading, looking at a face.
Precisely. All your sharpest, most detailed vision comes from light hitting that tiny spot.
And there's a condition tied to that area too, isn't there?
Yeah, macular degeneration. That's when the cells in the macula, including the fovea, start to break down. It causes loss of that crucial central vision. Reading, recognizing faces becomes really difficult, even though peripheral vision might still be okay.
Such a specific but devastating loss.
Yes.
Okay, before we trace the light's path, let's quickly double back on those eye fluids. Aqueous humor came up with glaucoma.
Right. Aqueous humor, made by ciliary processes, flows through the front chambers, nourishes cornea and lens, maintains pressure, drains via the canal of Schlemm. If drainage fails, pressure rises glaucoma.
Got it. And the other fluid, the one filling the main eyeball.
That's the vitreous humor. It's a thick, gel-like substance filling that whole big space behind the lens,
What's its job?
mostly providing shape and support to the eyeball. And critically, it pushes gently against the retina, holding it flat against the back wall, against a choroid with its blood supply.
And changes in that gel. That's where floaters come from.
Often, yeah. As you age, the vitreous can become more liquid, bits can clump up. You see them as little shadowy floaters drifting around, usually harmless.
But sometimes it can cause bigger problems.
Yes. Sometimes the vitreous can pull away from the retina. If it pulls too hard or if it's stuck in places, it can actually tug on the retina itself.
Uh-oh, that sounds bad.
It can be. That tugging can cause flashes of light, and if it pulls hard enough, it can tear the retina or pull it right off the back wall. That's retinal detachment.
And that's serious.
Very serious. A medical emergency. The retina gets separated from its blood supply in the choroid. Those photoreceptor cells start dying pretty quickly without nutrients and oxygen. Needs urgent treatment to prevent permanent vision loss.
Wow. Okay, structure's covered, fluids covered. Now let's follow the light. How does it become sight? Start to finish.
All right, the journey. A ray of light hits the eye. First stop, the cornea. Big bend number 1.
Passes through the aqueous humor,
Slips through the pupil, which the iris has adjusted for the light level.
then hits the lens. Bend number 2, the fine-tuning.
Correct. The cornea and lens work together, bending those rays so they converge, ideally, right onto a single point on the retina.
And Mr. Hosper points out something kind of weird about the image that lands there.
Yeah, this blows people's minds. Because the cornea and lens are convex curved outwards, they act like a simple camera lens. They flip the image.
Flip it, how?
The light rays cross over as they're focused, so the image that actually projects onto your retina is upside down and reversed, left to right.
Wait, seriously? My retina sees the world upside down.
That's the raw input, yeah. But the retina isn't seeing an image like we think of it. It's detecting light patterns. The rods and cones there perform phototransduction.
Fancy word. What's it mean?
It just means converting light energy into electrical signals. That's the language the nervous system speaks.
Okay, so light pattern, electrical signals, where they go next?
Those signals travel through a couple layers of nerve cells right there in the retina and finally hit the ganglion cells. The long tails, the axons of these ganglion cells bundle together.
And form the optic nerve.
Exactly. That bundle exits the back of the eye as the optic nerve, carrying all that encoded visual information towards the brain.
And the nerves from both eyes, they meet up somewhere.
They do, at a place called the optic chiasm. It's a crocking point.
What happens there?
It's clever. Nerve fibers from the inner half of each retina, the side closer to your nose, cross over to the opposite side of the brain. Fibers from the outer half stay on the same side.
Why the crossover?
It ensures that everything you see in your left visual field, which is detected by the outer part of your left eye and the inner part of your right eye, all goes to the right side of your brain. And vice versa for the right visual field going to the left brain. It organizes the input geographically.
Okay, brain gets this organized, but still upside down electrical code. Where does it get decoded?
The signals travel back to the visual cortex. That's in the occipital lobe, right at the very back of your brain.
And the visual cortex figures it all out.
This is where the real magic happens. The brain takes these electrical patterns, reconstructs the image, identifies shapes, colors, motion, and, crucially, it flips the image right side up and corrects the left-right reversal.
How does it know to flip it?
That's the amazing part. It integrates the signals, compares them with other sensory input and past experience, and basically learns or is wired to interpret that upside-down signal as a right-side-up world. It happens instantly, totally unconsciously. You never perceive the flip.
That is just wild. The brain is constantly doing that correction without us even knowing.
It's incredible processing, shows how much work goes into creating what seems like effortless perception.
Okay, let's quickly recap the key points from Mr. Hostler's guide.
We did the layers. Fibrous outer, sclera, cornea, vascular middle, choroid, ciliary body, iris, and intersensory, retina.
Cornea and lens, bending and focusing light. Ciliary body doing double duty, focus and fluid production.
Iris and pupil controlling the light levels.
Retina with rods and cones detecting light, especially the cone-rich fovea for sharp vision.
Talked about the fluids, aqueous humor, pressure, glaucoma link, and vitreous humor, shape, floaters, detachment risk.
And trace the light path. Cornea, pupil, lens.
Landing as a flipped image on the retina.
Converted to electrical signals by photoreceptors.
Sent via optic nerve and chiasm to the visual cortex.
Where the brain decodes it and flips it right side up. Phew.
And knowing the parts helps understand the problems. Astigmatism, cornea, glaucoma, fluid pressure, cataracts, lens, macular degeneration, retinophobia, detachment, retinvitreous.
Right. Let's test that with those clinical scenarios Mr. Hostler includes. First one. Patient sees sudden floaters, flashing lights, then a dark curtain falling over vision. What's likely happening? Why the emergency?
Okay, sudden floaters, flashes.
Well,
That suggests vitreous pulling on the retina. The curtain coming down. It sounds like part of the retina isn't working anymore. Put it together.
retinal detachment.
It screams retinal detachment. And it's an emergency because the retina is losing its blood supply from the choroid. Those cells will die if it's not fixed fast. Permanent vision loss.
Makes perfect sense structurally. Okay, scenario 2. Routine eye check, high-pressure reading glaucoma diagnosis. Which specific structures are involved in the cause, the fluid pressure, and the damage?
Right. The fluid is the aqueous humor.
Made by.
Made by the ciliary processes, part of the ciliary body.
Okay, and the pressure builds if it can't drain.
Through the canal or Schlemm, usually.
Ah.
So production by ciliary processes, faulty drainage, leads to high pressure.
And what structure gets damaged by that pressure?
The optic nerve. All that pressure squeezes the delicate nerve fibers where they exit the eye.
So ciliary processes make the fluid, drainage failure causes the pressure, optic nerve takes the hit.
That's the classic pathway for open-angle glaucoma, the most common type. That pressure slowly, progressively damages the optic nerve fibers.
This really highlights how interconnected everything is. Such precision required.
It's an incredible system. And yeah, understanding the anatomy really clarifies these common conditions.
And just one last thought to leave folks with.
Yeah.
That upside-down image thing is still just, wow.
Isn't it?
Your brain receives this flipped reverse data stream and just corrects it instantly
Yeah.
without you thinking about it. What does that tell you about the power of your own nervous system?
It tells us our perception isn't just a passive window, it's an active construction. Mind-boggling stuff.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps our deep dive into the eye. Next time, we're sticking with the senses, but moving next door, anatomically speaking, to the ear. We'll explore how we detect sound and also how that same structure is key for our sense of balance.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, keep exploring, keep learning.